Hey everybody, I'm Kathy Hester and welcome to my kitchen. Today I went to the farmers market and got my first CSA delivery in a very long time. So I wanted to share some of that with you guys. If you can see outside, I beat the rain today. I went to Durham Farmers Market in North Carolina. It's near downtown Durham, and on Saturdays it's pretty big. Wherever you are, chances are you have a farmer's market or something like that near you. Now, we've talked before about, I was using Misfit Market and Imperfect Foods and some other sources. Those are fine. I do have some feels about Misfit Market right now and I am not using them. So I think this box of groceries costs about $28, includes them dropping it off on my porch and using this nice box with their logo. Wherever you're watching this, hey Linda, in case you're in North Carolina, in case you're in the triangle triad area, there's an in-between part. I've put where Sugar Hill services it. That is not an affiliate link. But one of the things I love about them is that not only I went ahead and bought the CSA for the whole summer. So I paid in advance and I think it was like $470. So just it's going to continue. I'm not vacationing. That's the goal. Cheryl may change that, but the goal is no vacationing. And it will just come and magically appear. Normally I don't do this farmer's market and this, but it's okay, and we'll talk about some different things. Hey Kimmy, it's awesome to see you here. It's awesome to see everybody here. It's kind of this beautiful, rainy, cloudy day where it's drizzling, but I can go out and futz in the garden every once in a while. Okay, so let's open up this box first, and then we'll talk about some stuff I got at the CSA. And I would like to make this a regular thing if you're interested. When we did Misfit Market boxes, in the beginning, they were mysteries. Now they're not mysteries anymore. And why I'm not as much of a fan is when it was a mystery, it's okay if I got a cauliflower that was this big. But when I order a cauliflower individually and I'm paying $4 for it, it's not okay that it's this big or this big, right? And I was finding that too much was getting rotten even before summer. And it was not the same value that it was before. So if you were thinking about doing that, tell me how it goes with you. But I decided it just wasn't worth it anymore. Okay, so we'll go overhead. And the way they do it is they put everything usually in a big bag like this. And so I really have no idea what's in this bag. And I knew it's a possibility that I got double, and I think maybe not. Look how pretty that is. Hey, Gina says it's hot as blazes in Detroit, and my refrigerator is my mystery box. I feel you on that. And trying to make dinner with what I have, absolutely. Oh, and Kay said, even though you listed Mebane as a delivery location, they don't list it for this year. I got that off the website, so I'm sorry if that's not the case. I just grabbed it. There's got to be one in Mebane, and because I know there are farms out there. So again, I don't get to know what's going to be in here. It's basically about $25 or $27 value. This is some big Swiss chard. You can't tell from this. Way bigger. This is like my head and Cheryl's. It's big and it's rainbow. So we can cut the big stems off and we can do like a quick pickle, like put them in with some vinegar, a little bit of sweetener, some herbs, and use that on top of salads. We can use these leaves fresh, or we can cook them. So we could maybe julienne them and put them in a salad. Would be really nice and give you some extra little bit of crunch. If it looks like it's not as crunchy, maybe it's starting to wilt a little, or let's say if it had wilted here, right? What we can do a lot of times, and I did this with some kale from the farmer's market. I'm trying not to to mix this up. So we'll do CSA first. And Linda says, the Swiss chard is beautiful. I'm jealous of you right now. I know, and in the summer or at some point there could be a bag that I get 2 things in, right? Because CSA means community supported agriculture. So what that means is if you do a CSA, usually you're doing it for 6 months or to a year. Usually, a lot of times they'll have spring, summer, fall, winter. And that's a way of you kind of basically giving the money ahead of time to the farmer to be able to pay for labor and seeds and all the things that farmers need. So, oh, hi, one anti-venom and Joanne and Apple. I know this chard is huge. So this is a lot, a very lot of chard. I also have a chard stem hummus that's on healthyslowcooking.com. So that's something else we could do with this. We could also julienne or chop it up and put it with some nice cooked whole grain pasta or lentil pasta. Hey, Elizabeth. I don't know if you know Sugar Hill Produce, but that's who we're unboxing right now. Elizabeth is for the plant pod, and actually, Elizabeth, if you want to put instructions on how people can sign up for the free Chapel Hill Plant Pod class by me tomorrow, I would love that. But if you don't have time, that's okay too. And one anti-venom, thank you. It's a super cool program. Thank you. I'm trying to, separating so many things in my head. I think we're making a vegan fondue with almonds and beans. I believe we're making the dry cheese powder and the dry white sauce powder, which makes an amazing like rosemary Alfredo sauce. Oh, I'm super excited to be demoing. I know, it's such beautiful chard, and that is just the beginning. Okay, let's see. I've got some nice lettuce, and this lettuce is all washed and ready to go. So that's, here, I'll set that there. I have some fresh North Carolina strawberries. We got to do the overhead, I think, for you guys to see that very good. And I'll see if I can get a good side view too. Aren't those pretty? They look like little jewels. And we've got some nice bok choy. I was going to do a stir fry already with something that I got from the market, so we can talk about that. A nice tight head of broccoli. And look at all that stem. So with that stem, I'm going to cut that, peel it, and probably grate it to use in a stir fry as well. And then I have 2 fennel bulbs. And honestly, I don't often do much with fennel, but I could do a fennel for a salad, or we could saute some of it. And so I'm going to think about something I can do because I know I don't have a recipe with it. And let's see if we can get the side view too. Get me out of the side view. Can you guys see over in the corner? I have 3 little raised beds in that little area, plus garden in the front. So there's the fennel. Get you a little close up on some of the broccoli. These strawberries, I can't wait to eat them. You could also just slice these and put these on some greens. That would be really delicious too. So that's pretty much what we're talking about here. Okay, so let's see. So this is what I got from my CSA box. And it is bountiful and beautiful, and the Swiss chard is just amazing. So I'm gonna think about and try and plan some things for next week, and I'm also going to, I'm gonna wipe this down. I'm also going to see if I can't do some live videos of me making some of the things as I do it. No super pinky promises yet, and I'll show you other things that I did get at the farmer's market, and some may be a little unusual to you and some may not. And I didn't get a lot at the farmer's market because I knew I was going to be getting the CSA too. I did get some shoots. I want to show you. The kale wilted a little bit, and I wanted to talk about that for a minute. Let me get these mushrooms. I got mushrooms, cool, cool, cool mushrooms. And you guys look in the comments. You see it on Facebook. If you also, in the comments somewhere, it talks about signing up to get my spice blends. If you sign up on there, later today, I'm going to be sending out an email about how to access the demo tomorrow that's free. And it's tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's, let's see, you know what? I'm not going to read that out loud. I don't think you can get it. You probably can. I probably will read it wrong. But I'll come back. I'm going to put it on YouTube, and I'll put it some other places. And I'm going to be sending it out on my newsletter. I believe Elizabeth is on Facebook somewhere, but I don't know which channel. Probably the group. Probably Kathy's Cooking. Vegan Recipes Cooking with Kathy Hester. And Joanne says, that's tomorrow, so I'm watching you while I have the chance. Excellent. Okay, so let's start off with this Swiss chard. This Swiss chard was more at Durham's Farmers Market is often more expensive than the state Raleigh Farmers Market, which is usually larger, more commercial growers, but not always. So this, I think I paid $4 for. This was a bunch. I unbunched it. It was in the car, and it had been in the sun. It was looking a little bit, little wilty. So what I did is I took it upside down, put some ice water, let it sit, and then strained it. Hey, Facebook user who I don't know, who could be, if you tell me your name, I'll say hello because I want to talk to you personally, but I'm so glad you're here. And this is just gorgeous, you guys. Let's see. I need to work on the lighting there. Let's see. Look how pretty. Look how pretty that is. And there's so much of it. But I probably paid $3 or $4 for that. So it would, oh, hi, Kelly. It's awesome to see you. So we've got all this. So that's one of the things I got. I was kind of tossing the dice, and I could have gotten kale in both. So what would I have done? I would have made kale chips. I figured that if that's the worst thing that I do this week, then yay me. I know, and these are it's so green, dark green, and then it's the red Russian kale, so it's got those beautiful, beautiful veins, those purple veins. And Laura from England. Where in England, Laura? Welcome. We're glad to have you. We have someone else who usually pops in from Scotland. And I want to visit y'all's part of the world very, very much. So this was one of the things I got at the farmer's market. And I'm going to put this back here because it takes up a lot of room right now. What I'm going to do with that and the Swiss chard looks really well washed already. And that's one thing I look at. Sometimes when you get a CSA or you go to the farmer's market, depending on what the day that they picked everything was, it could be muddy or have clumps of dirt or things like that. Everything looks really, really good. So I'm probably going to spin that dry, and you can either put it in a Ziploc or some kind of reclosable bag. I think next week we'll talk a little more about some containers you can get for your fridge that can help greens. But a lot of times I'll just put a paper towel in the bottom and then put that on top. Aha, southwest of London in Hampshire. Is it Hampshire or Hampshire there? I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to make you into Hobbit land. So I'm sorry about that if that's what's going on. Okay, the other thing I got, and you guys have this in where you are, it's called braising greens. I had never really seen them until I came to North Carolina, and actually we'll just pour some out. I'll put it back in the box. So it's a mix of things. You'll find collards. See, there's that red Russian kale. There's some chard in here. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of greens that are made for cooking more than just salad. There's a nice piece of yellow chard, right? And I'll probably cut this down a little bit more. It's ready to go. So at my farmer's market, they'll have little bags like this, just like the lettuce I got in the CSA. These are already washed and ready to go, so I don't have to do anything. I believe this costs about $5. So you do pay a little bit more for it, but you don't have to do very much to it. With the kale, I've been making salads with kale. Anytime I do any kind of stir fry, or if it's Mexican food, I add a handful of chopped kale. If it's Asian food, I add a handful of chopped kale. So I've been putting a lot of kale into everything. So if I have it in the fridge, julienned or chopped or the different ways, then I can just pull it out, pop it in, and we're good to go. Okay? And so these braising greens also are typically going to last longer in your fridge than lettuce. Lettuce is a little more temperamental. So of all the things that I got in my CSA, this is what I want to use up first. The broccoli, if stored well, will hang around for a very long time. Probably longer than it should in my fridge. And Apple says she wishes they had bags of braising greens in Vancouver. Collard greens are rare over there. And those of you who are kind of like, greens, I don't really love them. Okay, you don't love them because just like tofu, you haven't had them made well, right? So greens are often bitter. And while I love a good faux gin and tonic these days, that's about as bitter as I want to go. So there's different things you can add. That's why traditionally in Southern cuisine, we add vinegar to greens. It takes some of that bitterness out. So some vinegar can work. Also, you could put a little sweetener in there or a little hot sauce. So I started out making Asian greens for Cheryl when Cheryl wouldn't eat any greens. And so that would be collards, kale. Mustard greens I like, but I consider those a little different because they're a little more hot, a little harder. So they're like a more intermediate green instead of an entry-level green. Oh, and Apple loves greens, and it's rapini season there, and it's coming to an end. Those are some really good, nice bitter greens, Italian, really good with lots of different kinds of pastas and dishes like that. So I just put a little bit of soy sauce, a little bit of rice wine vinegar, squeezed an orange. What else did I do? I think that's about all I did. And she was like, these are great. So I called them Asian greens. They're Asian inspired, yes, but are they? No, they're not authentic. They're Kathy's authentic orange greens is what they are. Another way I got her to eat Brussels sprouts is get them shredded or shred them yourself, saute them. I use a little bit of maple syrup. You could use a date syrup or date paste as well. A couple of pecans, maybe if you have some red cabbage, carrots added in for color. And then I put in air fried tempeh in there and a little bit of liquid smoke. So the main thing in doing things that way is just kind of like, here's some greens, but look at all the flavors. Right? So you kind of have to do that when someone just really isn't into it. So, okay, so these are the braising greens I bought. Well, look at these first. And one anti-venom loves wasabi greens in my Asian chopped salads. Oh, I've not had that yet. I haven't seen it. Here, I'm going to put this up so everyone can see. Chopped salads with air fried tofu, rice, and lots of veggies. That sounds delicious. And I love that. I treated myself. And here, we'll go over this way. And I got some things from the mushroom guy. Anybody know what these are? Let's see, there we go, where you can see real good. They were not inexpensive. This was, I think, about $6. Let's see if I can get, there you go. Now you can see some of the details on there. And it's lion's mane, so it looks like you should be petting it instead of eating it. And then I got a pound of kind of seconds. And so I'm going to open this bag up. And so I got them a little cheaper, and I've not had them before. So these are pink oyster mushrooms. Can you You guys see that a little bit? Yeah. Hello. There we go. Now you can see all the little gills and everything. So see how some of these are a little softer? What I had, and I got all of these for like $12 because they're not perfect. They're not these big, beautiful, billowy oyster mushrooms. But I have some ideas on what to do with some of these. Normally I wouldn't freeze any of these, but I could also dry some of these in the dehydrator. So if it looks like I just am really going to only use a few, and see these are bigger. They usually aren't brown. So again, these were the not perfect ones. Thank you. I will take imperfect mushrooms for a bargain. Because this is kind of a lot of mushrooms, you guys. And like I said, I'm thinking of drying some of them, especially some of these bigger, probably those two clumps. And I'll show you overhead. Wow, we're just not getting. There we go. And so that's a lot. That's a pound. And what I asked them, because I've not had these, has anybody else had pink oyster mushrooms before? Yeah, and these are line main. I'm sorry, I never came back to that one. Apple, you were so good and answered, and I was like, sorry, thinking of something else. So I decided, and getting mushrooms at the market is expensive, but you're getting it directly from the growers, and you can get mushrooms you can't always find. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about, let's see if I can, will you please get a little more? Okay. Using these for crab cakes. And so I'm very interested in that. I could change my mind, so just know that. When I was asking, what do pink oyster mushrooms taste like? They were saying it tasted, and Tracy Reese says, I've had them in pulled pork. That's exactly what they were saying. And they also said it tasted a little like ham. And I was like, And they didn't have a small one, which is why I went ahead and got the seconds. But I was already thinking, and you guys can't see that at all. Here we go. It's not video if you don't get to see the fun things. Because I think they're getting a little too moist in here, I feel like. So I'm going to try and dehydrate some of these. I was already thinking of trying to make a fried rice this week. So I was thinking of a pink oyster mushroom pork fried rice. Could be really interesting, and especially since some of these are so teeny, right? Instead of the big ones, we've got little bitty guys that I can just pull those off. So that's what I'm looking at there. Hey, Laura from El Paso. It is awesome to have you here today. And Kat says line main is supposed to be good for your brain and memory. So maybe I should have gotten double. They didn't have a big bag of those on sale, but maybe I'll go like next week. We all know I have like big middle-aged brain, but these are just gorgeous. So I've personally never eaten either of these before, but I am hoping, you know, to give all of these a go and see how it's going to be. They're really quite pretty, and that was a big treat for me. Okay, so we're going to move some of this stuff. And I got some today and some at the farmer's market earlier this week. Do you guys know what these are? There's two ways of looking at them. And I have a bundle here. They're garlic scapes. And so these are like 3 seconds from blooming because I didn't use them. And these I think are going to last a little bit longer. I think these usually cost about $2 to $3. And you can, one anti-venom. I like that. Could I make a pork flavored bouillon? Perhaps I could. And if I did that, I probably would want to go ahead and dehydrate them and use them as a base, because I do use shiitake and even just regular button mushrooms to kind of mimic beef in my beefy bouillon. And if you want a dry beefy bouillon, you can go to healthyslowcooking.com. I've got a dry beefy bouillon, a dry chickeny bouillon. Of course, everything's vegan, gluten-free, oil-free, salt-free options. And then I have my regular bouillon that I make, which I make in the Instant Pot slow cooker in the oven, which is an onion, carrot, thyme, celery, and then nutritional yeast. Yeah, I was thinking of making pesto. So these are some of the things that are going to come up. I did get another new to me thing, which is this. And I don't know if I'm going to be saying it right, but I'll show you from the top too. Let me see if I can. Yeah, it's just not letting me do any better. So it's an Asian vegetable. It's leafy, but you eat the stem of it. And it's spelled, and I've got C-E-L. Oop, here, I'm going back. C-E-L-T-U-C-E. Celtuce? I don't know. Should have asked the guy who sold it to me how to say it. But what you do is you peel the thick skin, which I haven't done yet. I figure we'd look at it here. And then underneath, you can either use this in a stir fry. And so you want to get to that dark jeweled green. So it's almost like you have to peel it twice. Yeah, and these are garlic scapes. This wizardry wand? Is that what you're talking about? This is my Idaho potato peeler that I hoard. So, oh, you guys, it smells really good. It smells really good. It almost smells, usually something like this, I would expect it to have a lighter, greener flavor. This almost has this darker, richer, more complex. And Joanne, which book? I'm trying. Oh, okay. Here we go. Got it. I missed something. Paul bought me the book, The Vegetable Butcher, for your by Cara Mangini for her birthday, and says it's a beautiful book. And I have that book somewhere, I think. We have things lots of places, but let's look at from the side. I think I can give you a. Let's see. Let's get it to focus. Oh, it does not want to focus on that. Sort of. There you go. But so it's a very thick skin, and it's when it's this inside. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm thinking that is something that I'm also, if I don't do the fried rice, then I may do a stir fry of this. I think it's traditionally made. I found a recipe on Omnivore's cookbook where she also said the thin ones are better than the thick ones, but I think we got what we got here in Durham. So, I don't think I have a lot of choice unless, now I will know when I go to Li Ming's or another Asian market to look for some of this stuff too, because I see lots of greens that I just don't know what it is. So that's another thing. I think this whole big thing was like $250. So it was well worth an experiment. The mushrooms were probably the most expensive part of my CSAing. Now I did get a couple of other things too, because I'm going to be showing you the garden at some point, possibly even tomorrow, because things are almost done. I still have 5 more small planters to plant, but out here, and actually, well, it's not already. I'm not going to show you. I'm not going to show you till I'm showing you. But I've got herbs out there. I'm super excited. Some cool ways. And Joanne says with the vegetable busher, of cool and easy ways to trim your veggies. So that's awesome. I'll try and get that out, and then maybe we can talk about that one day too. I've got marjoram and cilantro and rosemary and chives. I've got some kale trying to grow. I've got some French thyme. I've got oregano and some parsley. And then over there, back on the big deck, I've got various tomatoes and peppers and eggplants, cucumbers, one zucchini. And at the farmer's market, and the Durham Farmers Market tends to have more, like I said, smaller farms. You can find lots of seedlings, flowers. So I got a passion fruit start. It's a little bitty baby, but it's a perennial that makes passion fruit. So I want to try that. I got some nasturtiums that are farther ahead than the seeds I just put in, so I can kind of make it look prettier. I got something for the butterflies that I don't even remember. I got a moonflower, and I don't know if I gotten one several years ago at the farmer's market before we were in this house, so probably 13 years ago. And they're these giant white flowers that open at dusk. And if you've planted anything, and I almost always try to plant white flowers, I'm not this year because I just didn't start this soon enough. But if you have white flowers out on your deck or patio where you're going to be sitting, it kind of captures the light and it almost seems like they're lit up a little bit, which is just so cool. But it vines up really big, and like every night eventually one will flower, so I'm very excited about that. And Joanne says, I'm sure your garden's going to be beautiful. It is like a container garden for real, so it's something people could do anywhere on a patio or porch. And Joanne said, it's smart doing containers with all the deer. So where I live, there are a lot of deer. We also have a lot of chipmunks. We have a lot of animals. There are a lot of animals. And down in my backyard is kind of hilly and was landscaped. When we bought it, it was landscaped beautifully for flowers and things. We've since let it overgrow. So that's one reason why I didn't go there. The other is most of the times people build raised beds with gates, and sometimes even stuff like mesh, not mesh, but like chicken wire on the top, because you want the insects to come in, but you don't to pollinate. But deers can even jump fences, so you just have to be a little careful. And what I'm doing up here also is I get to be up here and enjoy it. When downstairs gets really mosquito-y. We get a lot of mosquitoes here. And it's not that upstairs won't be mosquito-y, but up is a little bit easier. And also, most everything is raised now. So I feel like I'm building my garden of the future so that as I age, I will be doing less bending over. Because even right now, bending over is at a premium when you're picking up heavy things and stuff. I had a back issue a few years ago that now I have to be a little more careful. And I got 2 tomato plants, and I think they called them Tasmanian something, and I'll show you those. I never heard of them, but evidently they get 1 to 2 feet tall. They have like brownish tomato, like brownish black tomatoes. I'm always looking for some weird heirlooms, and they just stay small. So I got 2 of those as well. And then I think I got a little more basil, even though I'm clipping, and hopefully you guys know you can clip the tops off of the basil. And in fact, the basil I bought at the farmer's market when I got the first scapes, the Raleigh farmer's market, I had in water and it sprouted. So I actually just planted it out in my garden. So I have extra basil, but if you get the top off and get some of the leaves off, you can make a whole new basil plant, which is super cool. But I promise I'll be showing you more of the garden as it comes. I'm already getting some small peppers because I bought some larger plants and things like that. You can probably start hearing it rain. It's starting, which is probably a sign it's time for me to go, because we don't have a basement. We have clear story windows up there, so you're just going to hear it really loud. So if you're where it's dry, you wish it was wet, enjoy the rain. I'm gonna enjoy being at home, taking care of some of the veggies, maybe cleaning out the fridge. And tell me how you guys are liking this. Is this something you'd like to see every Saturday while I have the CSA? Because I'm in if you're in. So relax, do something really nice for yourself today. If today is not your day off, then pick a day that is and do something nice then. Okay, you guys? I will see you very, very soon.